What's going on, Not So Pro Nation? We're back with another fantasy video. It is late right now. We just finished the Monday Night Football game, which I'm quite surprised of the outcome. But I mean, I like what I see. Obviously not from Kansas City, but from New York, you can see something is forming, like when you do a science experiment and you leave trash in one area, then all of a sudden a weird plant starts coming out or like a mushroom or something. Something's happening. Something magical is happening there in New York. I like the team chemistry that's rolling on, and I think they could possibly have, a future. I don't know. What do you think, Vince?
Yeah, bro. I like what Daniel Jones is doing there. Of course, he still needs some help at the wide receiver core. Of course, they had two more injuries to the wide receivers that just got back. But I mean, he's doing what he can with what he's got. And I mean, Booker at running back helps him out a lot. Kadarius Tony did come back in after that hand injury that looked pretty weird. He like fell on, or his helmet hit his hand and he got hurt. But I like him, bro. The defense is looking a lot better. And not that it looked horrible before, but I mean, I don't know if it's just Patrick Mahomes. I said last podcast that he reminds me of a waste bin. Uh, but yeah, man, I don't know. They just look good. They're playing good lately. They just need that extra little uh, jump to get over that hurdle and win some games. Because I know they've been like rocky, but lately they're looking good.
You could tell they're right there, and it did take them a while to find their identity, but I feel like they know what it is, but they're just trying to just become, that team that they were meant to be. I see a lot of potential. I really like it. They killed themselves. The Giants did as far as penalties. There was like two penalties that could have really won them the game, like that interception that was towards the end, but there was offsides by 53. Yeah, that hurt them a lot. Patrick Mahomes, he didn't really play all that great. He had a couple of good passes, but I mean, he had a strip sack that was recovered by the Chiefs, and he had a couple of interceptions. But for me, it kind of reminds me of like what you see back in the Colin Kaepernick days. When he first came out, he was amazing. He did great. He was on point. But then the following years, people cracked his code. They know who he is. They know what he likes to do, and he couldn't do anything in that league. And this is what Patrick Mahomes kind of looks like. Yes, they did get off with a win, but it was a kind of an ugly win.
Yeah, man. I'll say he also looks like Cam Newton. He used to be a guy that used to be able to run and all that too, and get out of the pocket and all that, and throw these wild throws. But now he's regressing. I don't know what it is. I truly think it's like all mental. Uh, I think it was whoever was commenting. I forgot his name. He was saying that last game Mahomes is passing to the areas where they're covering, and he doesn't want to get the check down because he wants the bigger play. And sometimes you just got to be smarter, get the check down, get the 5 yards. Uh, it's better than throwing an interception or not getting the long pass, and then you're in a hole. I mean, in the past years, he's been able to do it, but now he needs to be smarter.
Yeah, he does. But we're not here to talk about Monday Night Football. I mean, we could mention it right here and there, but I mean, we're here for fantasy. Fantasy football, guys. Here's where you get your fantasy advice, and so far we've been, pretty spot on. I don't want to toot my own horn, mainly because I don't got a horn, but I mean, we're pretty spot on. So if you guys are listening, thank you for taking the time to listen to us and talk to y'all about fantasy. We just love it. We love playing fantasy. I'm in 3 leagues. Vince is in 3 leagues. I know it's nothing compared to some of y'all, But I mean, it's time consuming. You take a lot of time out of it, especially you work full time. You have other side hobbies that you do full time. I just realized that Anissa's bag is in my background on the couch, where I
Hey,
specifically told
dude.
her not to leave it. I said,
Don't
"Hey,
lie, bro. Don't lie. We know it's yours.
oh, that's my bag, you guys. My bad, my bad. You guys caught me." Um, but yeah, okay, let's get right into fantasy, guys. One thing, the first thing you got to know is that this bye week, you're going to have four teams out, okay? And these four teams can pretty like they could hurt you. Okay, so you got the Lions out, so that's DeAndre Swift, right? Those of you 2%ers that have Jared Goff, the tight end over there, what's
Hawkinson.
Hawkinson? Yes. And then you have Seattle out. Seattle, yeah, you got Russell. Oh, he's injured. Yeah, I got him in fantasy. Uh, Geno Smith. If you guys listened to me, I picked him up last week. Um, DK
Good luck,
Metcalf,
dude.
Tyler Lockett. Uh, that's pretty much it.
About
You
it.
know, the Buccaneers, Tom Brady. I was gonna say Gronk. Did he play last week? I don't know if he did. He was a game
Nah,
time decision.
it was a game
Uh,
time decision.
I ended up just benching him because I didn't want to deal with that. And then you got the Washington football team. You got Heineke, Scary Terry, that wide receiver that just came out. I believe his last name is Brown. He did pretty well. Antonio Gibson, McKissick, all of them. So yeah, you got a lot of guys out this week. So you're gonna have to replace it with your bench players or hit up free agency. So on the waiver wires, there's a lot of QBs that are missing. You know, it comes from Russell Wilson all the way to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold just left with a concussion protocol. We don't know if he's going to be back or not. He needs to pass all 5 stages. But who can you tell me that you could rely on this week for fantasy, Vince?
I just want to talk about the apparent one that everybody's probably gonna hound on after they see if he's not questionable or not. But I got Taysom Hill on this fantasy waiver wire. I think right now he's only in 0.7% of leagues because he's been hurt a little bit, but everybody says he's not really a quarterback because he plays every position on the freaking football team. Uh, but I know they just had I forgot his name. Reed knows him. Forgot his name, but he just came in after James Winston went down. I don't think he's going to be starting. I think they're going to put Taysom Hill there
Oh
if
yeah,
he is healthy. If not, then they'll go with the third string that they got there.
Trevor
His name
Simeon.
Simeon. There you go,
Yeah,
from the
yeah, he
Broncos.
did. He played decently well, but like you said, he just got cleared to play. So more than likely, I see him being out there. Huge
Yeah,
pickup.
he just needs he knows the team a little bit better, and he's also a double threat, so they can open up the playbook with him. But yeah,
Mm.
other than that, I mean, it's just all those guys that are not on buys. The best guy up there is probably Taysom Hill, in my opinion. After that, it's probably like someone that I just picked up last week in Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I guess you can take the floor right now.
Yeah, like you said, Carson Wentz. Yeah, he's still available, guys. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are injured, so I don't see why he's still available. He's only owned in 33% of leagues. He's averaging 18.36 points, which is not bad. Last week he had over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which is not that great. But he did put up some numbers, so he can help your fantasy if you're missing that QB position. Next, I got someone who's really red hot. Just only played one game. That's for the New York Jets. I got Mike White, you guys. Mike White. Yes, he's averaging 17 points with 2 games. That's because he only played half a game. And he threw for over 400 yards. He threw for over 400 yards, got 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which I know for sure one is not 100% his fault. Um, but Mike White, and that was against a Bengals defense, a very well played Bengals defense. And next week they do have the Colts, so it might be a challenge. But if you have no other options, I will suggest pick up Mike White because he is not owned at all.
Oh yeah, I
So
doubt he's on anybody's unless they're just a big Mike White or Jets fan.
right. But that's your plan Z, guys. Remember, if you have no one else, no backup, and the next person up is uh, geez, I don't know. Who would you say? Um,
No idea,
Jared
bro.
Goff? Yeah, I say
Probably.
pick up Mike White. Okay. I have Tua on there as well. He played decently well last week, got 15 points, but at least it was 15 points. It wasn't any less than that. I know I'm going to have some questions coming out to me about Jimmy Garoppolo. He was one of the top QBs this past week. I believe he finished off with 27 points for fantasy. He did rush for 2 touchdowns. So, should you start Garoppolo? You should not start Garoppolo. Next week, they're going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who have an amazing defense, you guys. Yes, I know it's a divisional game. It's going to be, hard fought, but that Cardinals defense is nothing to play around with. And Jimmy G, he doesn't put up, record points every single game. So that's a big risk. Me personally, I might just start Mike White over Jimmy G.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's just my honest opinion. Yeah, he played an amazing game last week, but you got to remember that was against the Bears. Okay, now we're playing against the Cardinals. Totally different story. Um, so yeah, that's my QB picks.
cool, man. I guess we can get into the running backs now. And this one is another apparent pick. I mean, right now the waiver wire is going insane for one of these two running backs from the Titans. I know right now in both of my leagues, I picked up Adrian Peterson, and I will not say any names, but someone already traded me Woods from the LA Rams for him. And he's not even projected yet to even start. So, I mean, if I'm you guys and you're a smart person, I'd pick up Adrian Peterson right now as soon as you're watching this. Because if possibility is that he's still probably on there, if not, I would put in a waiver wire for Jeremy McNichols. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the starting running back going forward. Adrian Peterson might go in and out there because he's still got to learn the playbook. He's got to get acclimated to the team. But yeah, McNichols right now is my number one pickup for free agency and running backs, just because he's going to get an uptick in his carries. The next guy who I also highly think that you should pick up, and he's not in many leagues at all. He's only in 1% of leagues, and his name is Boston Scott. He just went off for a 2 touchdown game, 18 points, 60 yards on only 12 carries. So that's a 5 yard per carry average. So, I mean, he's doing great. I'd pick him up, especially now that Sanders is on injured reserve for the next 2 weeks at the
Mhm.
least. Another guy who is also on the Eagles is Jordan Howard. He's the Eagles' second string, but for some reason the Eagles just wanted to run the heck out of the ball this past game because this guy had 17.7 points. So you have your running back one, Boston Scott with 18, and then Jordan Howard with 17.7 points. They both get 2 touchdowns rushing, and they both get about 60 yards. I mean, Jordan Howard had 57, so it's like they were twins that day. But if either one is on your waiver wire, I'd pick them up because they're both doing great. And that's all I got right now for running backs, especially with the injuries that are happening. Those are the guys that you got to go after.
Nice, nice. I'm just going to add one more running back to that list because I also have Jeremy McNichols on there. So, I mean, he's going to be carrying a lot of the load because when Derrick Henry was there, I mean, he carried it 90% of the time. And the other running backs might get one or two if Derrick Henry needed a breather, but he literally did everything. But I do have another running back. I'm going to say it again. I said it last week. Some people listen, not so much, but I got Elijah Mitchell. Guys, Elijah Mitchell, starting running back for the San Francisco 49ers. He killed it last week. He's averaging 13.66 points, and that's because he missed almost, half of their games already. But he's back. He's healthy, and boy, can that guy run. He breaks tackles. I believe I just sent you a tweet, right, of the fantasy football. He has 136 rushing yards and 135 yards after contact.
Yeah, bro. I was gonna make sure that you brought up that stat because that is insane.
Yeah, dude.
Literally, if he would to have gotten tackled each time when he got hit, he'd only have 2 yards rushing.
Honestly,
That's
yeah.
insane.
But yards after contact, I'm telling you, this guy is tough. And the Niners, we're pretty low on running backs. We just got JaMychal Hasty, so we are do or die on Elijah Mitchell. Like we said last week, he is our uh, bell cow. So we're going to be milking the heck out of him. First, second down, he will be there no matter what. Sometimes on third down, but that's more of a passing to RB. So that's going to be Jermichael Hasty. Last week, he had 18 rush attempts, on one touchdown. So I'm going to tell you guys, he's going to be getting a lot of attempts since the Niners are a run heavy team, especially against the Cardinals. So yeah, that's the running back I want to add in there.
For sure, man. I agree. Uh, I hate the Niners, and it's very apparent. Me and AJ butt heads all the time, but we're still best friends. But I agree with him here. Uh, so I guess we can go to wide receivers.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Since you just brought that up, you know what's weird? I didn't even notice this, and we never talked about this. You and I, like personal, I'm going to bring it on air just for whatever. But yeah, every year in football season, we do not like each other. Like we don't talk to each other at all. Basketball season, yeah, we both like the Spurs. But when it comes to football season, we don't talk to each other at all. I think this podcast has brought us together, Vince. Like this
Yeah,
is the
man.
most we've ever talked during football season and the most we ever smiled and laughed with each other. So
Dude, for real. Usually we're bad mouthing each other. We're throwing shade everywhere all the time. It's
all
either
the time.
me bashing on you, you bashing on me. That's how it
Yeah.
goes. But
I
yeah,
think
this
this
podcast really does help with that. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. But yeah, let's get into wide receivers, you guys. I do want to bring up an example that I had this past week. This past what do you call that? After a waiver process, you know, the first wave of waivers, I should say. So I was, doing my normal routine, my weekly routine, and I was going through my feed and seeing what waivers were processed, who dropped what, whatnot, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to say who it was, but all of a sudden, I see a wide receiver that just got dropped. That a wide receiver was named Tyler Lockett. So Tyler Lockett was dropped for a kicker. Yeah, he was dropped for a kicker. You're always gonna have that one person in that league. But yeah, he was dropped for a kicker, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I put a waiver request right then and there. I looked at the waiver list, and my priority of waivers was 9 out of 10. And I was like, oh yeah, I got this in the bag. Hopefully that 10th guy doesn't see it or whatnot. But no, the story is Tyler Lockett, he's owned in 99% of leagues, which is nuts. So the chance of finding him is, is stupid low. It's like finding a shiny Pokemon when you're playing Pokemon. Um, but yeah, so to do this, to be able to find um, any player like this, we're going to give you our insider of what I do. I don't know if Vince wants to share what he does because I know he likes to hold back a little bit. But look at him go.
We'll show them. We'll show them where to go.
We'll show him where to go. Okay, so Vince has it right there. So every, what will be the first day? Every Wednesday morning, you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, this is if you want the best possible outcome. You wake up 6 o'clock in the morning and you go to your feed, which is going to show you that's the NFL fantasy app. It's going to be on the way left. You go to your feed and you can scroll down. You see what your whole league is dropping, adding. So you know exactly what they're doing. Nothing's kept a secret. So I saw this guy drop Tyler Lockett and picked up a kicker that morning. So each Wednesday morning, waivers are processed and you get to see who's going to become available if you won your waivers. So I picked him up, and the way to look at your waiver priority, you go to your team, and on top it says waiver. You click on the waiver, and then the bottom of that page, it will show you your priority. So what that means, the higher you are in the priority list, the better chance you're going to get of getting that certain person, unless that person above you is trying to get the same person over you. But yeah, it usually works like if you have a better record, you're probably last in the priority list. Yeah, you kind of see it right
You can
there.
kind of see it. Yeah, it's not pretty good here, but I have two waiver requests right there, and if I wanted to, I could move one up or move it back down just to uh, order it how I want it.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know you could do that. I used to cancel a waiver request and then redo it again.
Nah, yeah,
But
it used to be like that to where you couldn't, so you had to redo them all. But sometimes the NFL app helps us out. So
Nice. So that was a little hint, you guys. So that's just for your chance of getting an elite player that's owned in 99% of leagues or 98, 95, 96, whatever. But follow those rules. It's every Wednesday morning, Friday morning, and Sunday morning. So check that out.
for sure, man. But yeah, let's get back to wide receivers. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll go first. I'll go first. First off, I want to apologize. Okay. Last week I said my blue chip player was Russell Gage. Okay. And I'm sticking with that. I'm going to stick with it. Last week he had the most plays out of any receiver, but he wasn't targeted not once. That's kind of weird. Okay. So I'm a little freaked out. I don't know what they're doing over there in Atlanta. I will say keep him on your bench because Calvin Ridley just announced that he's no longer going to be playing this year. He's going to take some personal time with his family and whatnot. So Russell Gage is going to be taking on a bigger role, and I see him getting more targets. So keep him on your bench. Stay with me here, but he's still going to be there. But I want to talk about Davonte Parker. Okay, he's coming back from what was it? From injury. He came back from injury and he played outstanding. He's averaging 12.74 points. He had 11 targets this past game, you guys. 11 targets. Okay, so he's liked out there. And only 15% of people own him in their rosters. So if you're on the lookout for a decent wide receiver, pick him up. And he's just going to be getting more and more targets because Fuller on the Dolphins is still on IR. Yeah, he's dealing with some hand injuries. I think it was a thumb, but he's still placed on IR, which only means that Davonte Parker is going to be getting more of the workload. So I like that. That's my guy.
Cool, man. Yeah, he was one of my number one guys. Also, I got a few more on here. I was very surprised by this, but I think it was just because this guy was on the COVID watch list because of a teammate, Alan Lazard. Lately, he's been doing very well. He hasn't been getting a lot of catches, but I mean, this guy's getting a lot of yards. So I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago, my bad, against Chicago, he had 11.7 points, and then the week after that, which was week 7, he had 17. So this past week, he didn't play against Arizona, but he's coming back and he's gonna come play against that weak Chiefs defense. So they play them this week. I think that's a Sunday game at 3:15, 3:25, whatever it is. I would pick Alan Lazard up. He's been getting touches. Devontae Adams is still out as of right now, so he's still going to be getting a lot of touches. But even when he's in there, they spread the ball. They love throwing it. They Reed says they're a running team now, but I still see them throwing it a lot. But yeah, that's one guy I think you should pick up. He's very consistent so far. As long as he's playing, he's gonna get the ball. Rashad Bateman is another guy that AJ loves.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
big time.
I didn't think he was correct on that, so I didn't back him up on that one when he did pick that like 2 3 weeks ago. But lately he's been doing good. They just got off a bye week, but before that he had scored 11 points in the game before. But what really caught my eye for this guy is the defenses that he's going against the next 3 weeks. He's going against Minnesota, Miami, and Chicago, and their rankings are 27, 31, and 28 for uh, receiving defenses. So if this guy's on your waiver wire, and I'm pretty sure he is because he's only owned in 10% of leagues, I would pick him up. I would say maybe keep him on the bench unless you have no other guy to play because of bye weeks and all that stuff. He's going to be getting some touches. I mean, he gets targeted 6 times per game. I think the Ravens are going to run over the next 3 opponents. I think they get 3 dubs in this span. So he's going to be getting the ball for sure. And then one guy, he just played right now, Cadarius Tony. I've been talking about him forever and ever.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the last podcast I didn't talk about him. But yeah, even though he might be struggling with another injury, I mean, he came back in the game and he was ready to catch the ball. He had a little thumb injury. He hit his finger on his head. I don't know how he did it, but he did pretty well. I mean, I believe he had like 5 or 6 catches. I have a picture when he was actually playing because I know I'm going to talk about this guy for sure, anyways. But he's been getting the ball, and with Shepard getting hurt again, which is basically their number one receiver, he had a quad injury, and he doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. He's going to be the main guy. Him and I believe Tate is their other guy. I can't remember who it was, but um, he's their number one receiver. So Daniel Jones is going to be throwing to that guy. If not, it's going to be going to Booker. So if you have a slot that you need filled, whether it be the flex or it be a wide receiver position because of bye weeks, I think Kadarius Tony is also a guy to look out for, especially if he's playing and he's healthy. So we'll keep track on that thumb and look at our Twitter, and we'll be updating you on some of these players that we're talking about.
Oh, for sure. What about Jameson Crowder? He had 9 targets this past game with Mike White being a QB.
Yeah, man. I mean, I talked about him. I think about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I knew as soon as he got back, he was going to be a key point in that offense for whoever was quarterback at that time. It was Wilson, but he's hurt now, and Mike White is taking hold of those reins, and he's revving up them horses, bro. I mean, he's going off 400 yards passing. That's insane. Uh, but yeah, I think that Jameson Crowder, he's going to be getting his touches for sure. I'm not. He's like a slant guy, a little in and out route type of guy. So he's there for your what's it called? I can't even remember right now. For the leagues that for catches.
Oh, PPR?
PPR. I'm sorry. I'm having brain farts today all day, man. I don't know what it is, but just stick with us. But yeah, Jameson Crowder, he's going to be getting his touches. He's going to be getting maybe 40, 50 yards per game. So with 9 catches and 50 yards, that's already 16 points. It's double digits. So if you need a slot to fill in, I'm pretty sure Jameson Crowder is only in probably about 20% of leagues. Just going off of what I saw.
22.
22. Okay, yeah. See, pretty close.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, just pick him up too. I mean, he's a good guy to have for the long haul because whenever you do have bye weeks and you don't have anybody else to put in, he's going to be a good, sturdy guy to put in there. And he's basically going to get you the same amount of points that he always does.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's go into tight ends now. Okay, so tight ends are now becoming a little scarce.
Oof, yeah.
So that's scary because if you have a good tight end, you have a darn good chance of winning. Okay, they could be the make or break it for your team. Speaking of tight ends, I want to have a huge shout out to Reed McCall. He needed 5 points to beat me, and he had the number 1 tight end in the league, Travis Kelce. Didn't get it. He didn't get. He got 4.70. Hey, Reed, that's for calling me out last podcast.
Dude, yeah, he did.
He did, yeah, he did. He's like, oh, fantasy expert AJ, I mean, who would have thought, though? Who would have thought that Travis Kelce would have gotten 5 points?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have thought that Travis Kelce wouldn't have gotten it. I knew that Pat Mahomes was going to have another stinker again. But, I mean, they pulled out the win. But I was surprised that Kelce didn't get anything. But sometimes it usually works like that. Whenever Tyreek Hill has a great, great game, Kelce will not. I mean, it's very rare unless they're going against a really, really bad defense. Then they can both have some points. But usually that's how it works. When one is up, when the other's down.
Yeah, for sure. But I want to talk about a tight end who I don't really know how to say his name. Okay, but can help you out. Okay, I'm talking about the tight end from Pittsburgh. His name is Pat Freiermuth. Right? Did I get it? I don't know if I did.
First time you got it pretty good.
Okay. Well, Pat from Pitt, he just got 7 targets last game against the Browns. But what I really like about him is that he got 2 red zone targets. So they're trusting him in the red zone. He did get 1 touchdown. And what I really like about him is that he's available. He's only owned in 2% of leagues. So he's out there. Yeah, he's averaging 7.74 points. And if you guys know me, consistency is key. So if he's getting those targets and if he's getting trusted in the red zone, he has a good chance of getting some good points. All he needs is, 7 targets. That's already 7 points. Uh, but if he's getting targeted in the red zone, that's it right there. As long as the tight end gets close to 10 points, I think you're pretty solid. So
Yeah, man, I would agree. I'm looking at his stats right now. He's getting 7 targets per game. The first game against the Seahawks, he got 7 catches. The second game, he got 4 catches, but he had a touchdown as well and some good yardage. So he scored 12.8 and 14.4 in his past 2 games. I would pick him up, especially if you're having trouble. I know Gronk is hurt. I know that
Logan Thomas,
Everett, yeah, Logan Thomas is hurt. Noah Fant hasn't been producing.
George
Uh,
Kittle injured.
George Kittle's injured reserve. So there's a lot. There's a lot of people hurting, especially with those big names. Um, and then Hawkinson is going on bye this week, so that's already
Mm-hmm.
5 tight ends that we've listed, and there's probably more.
Ricky
Uh,
Seals Jones from Washington football team.
yeah, so there you go. I mean, we can name them all day, honestly, but
Yeah,
I also think he's good. Another guy that's not in a lot of leagues, he's also about the same, 2.7%, is Dan Arnold. He's now with the Jaguars. Used to be
I
with the
saw that.
Panthers.
Yeah.
So I think he switched over like 2 or 3 games ago. He's been doing pretty well with them. I mean, he's getting his touches. This past game against Seattle, he had 10 targets with 8 receptions. He had 14.8 points. So, I mean, he's getting his touches. He's going up against Buffalo this next game. So he might be uh, a little bit lower than what he had against Seattle because Seattle is not very good against tight ends. But who knows? He could have a breakout game, especially right now since we're hurting at the tight end position. If he's getting his targets, he's going to get some catches. So I still think he's good. Another guy that you can probably rely on, he's in a little bit more leagues. It's 10.9%. His name is Tyler Conklin. And he's from the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, past 2 games, he's been doing great, just like the past 2 tight ends that we've been talking about. He had a bye week in week 7, but week 6 he had 10 points on 3 catches, and against Dallas this past Sunday night he had 10.7 points again on 5 catches. So I mean, this guy's getting his targets, he's getting his catches. Uh, I think that he's a good tight end to get, especially if you're in some trouble there, or your tight end's not producing, or they're on a bye week. So that's all I got. I mean, I say those are pretty good picks,
Oh
double
yeah,
digits for all 3 of them. So
for sure. I 100% agree. I had Tyler Conklin on my list as well. But guys, by the time y'all see this video, I'm gonna try to get this video out at noon on Tuesday. There could be a lot of changes to teams because tomorrow, which or Tuesday, is the trade deadline at 4 o'clock. So at 4 o'clock, you're gonna see a lot of players with new teams. Okay, just kind of like how we saw on Monday, we had Von Miller go to the Rams. Okay, that was a huge trade. Okay, before that, you had Zach Ertz go to the Cardinals. That was another big trade. You're going to see a lot more Tuesday when you see this video by 4 o'clock. That's the trade deadline. So, keep an eye out because that could also give you an edge in your fantasy league. Okay,
yeah,
but
man, especially with a lot of injuries, it's
with a
gonna be
lot of
wild.
injuries, 14s on bye week, it could help you out. Now it's time for my favorite segment. Guys, defense wins you fantasy games, not championships, fantasy games. Okay. And if you're like me, I say this every video, but I'm going to say it once again. I switch my defense every week. Okay. And I do mean every week because I go for the best possible matchups. Yes, matchups. That's what fantasy is all about. Okay. If you really want to grind, you find your best matchups and you put those guys in. Okay. So for this week, we got 4 defense. I'm going to give you 4, okay? Not 1, 2, or 3. I'm giving you 4 teams that will give you an edge in that defensive spot for fantasy, okay? Number 1, my favorite matchup, and this is why my number 1 is probably not available. It's probably taken for you. I got the Bills at the Jaguars, okay? Obviously, getting the Bills, they're going to not let the Jaguars do anything at all. They might tease them a little bit, but nothing's going to get out of it. So, Bills number 1. So if you got them in your fantasy, awesome. If they're owning 99% of leagues, go check your feed. You might just get them. Next up, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers, you guys. The Steelers, they played amazing against the Browns, and now they're going up against the Bears. The Bears. Okay, but the Bears, they don't have a offense. Okay, so you got to get the Steelers because their defense is going to rack you up some points. Okay, if their defense can get 7 or more points, kind of like a tight end position, you're pretty gold. You're solid right there. Okay, next up, I got the Patriots against the Panthers, you guys. The Panthers, Sam Darnold, he just got a concussion. Who's going to be their quarterback? I don't know. Don't care. Okay, they're not going to put up any points against the Patriots. The Patriots have a decent defense. They've been doing pretty well. Last week they got over 10 points. Pick up the Patriots defense. It'll get you some points with a team that doesn't have a quarterback right now. Okay, last but certainly not least, I got Mr. Dancing with the torn ACL himself. I got the New Orleans Saints. Okay, the New Orleans Saints are going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, they like to air the ball out, but the Saints just went up against the defending Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the GOAT Tom Brady. And the Saints defense had 17 points. 17 points. What do you do? Okay, now you're going up against the Falcons, one of the lower portion of the teams down there. You know what they're going to do. They're going to help you win a fantasy game. Okay, so those are my 4 defensive teams to put in your fantasy. Okay, it's all about matchups. Done.
Wow. You know, one thing I'll say that I'm very proud of you, AJ, is now you didn't call out the Jets.
Yeah, I didn't call out the Jets this time.
And you know, I will agree with that because Mike White is a stud. And I hope he keeps being a stud. I have what's actually going to be the Thursday night game. So
Yeah.
that's another cool thing that's coming up right now. We're going to talk about. Uh, but yeah, proud of you, AJ. You didn't call out the Jets.
Hey man, on paper, the Bengals had every right to demolish that Jets offense. Who knew Mike White was going to be a complete stud? Okay, the Bengals had put up points the week prior to that against the Ravens. Okay, and that's an offensive driven team. And then you go up against the Jets. I thought it was an automatic 10 points. Boy, was I wrong. Okay, but we're not perfect here. We're human. Who thought Travis Kelsey would have going to get 5 points?
Sometimes it just works out like that, man.
Yes, yes, it does. But speaking about Thursday night football, you guys, I absolutely love this matchup. You got Mike White and the Jets going up against Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts, 2 quarterbacks that we talked about today on this show, you guys. This is going to be good. It's going to be real good.
I hope it
Okay.
is, man.
All right. I see you working your little board over there. I
Uh,
see you.
it's going to be a regular one, you know?
Okay.
But I'm just like, I don't know who to go for after that showing by Mike White. I want to believe in him so much, but the Colts defense is good in themselves too. So it's gonna have to be.
It's
It's
going to be
gonna have
what?
to be
What are
them.
you doing, Vince? Vince, what are you doing? We're high on this guy.
I know.
This is our guy. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
No.
I don't
Oh
think
man.
he's gonna have a good game. Don't get me wrong, but he still needs a little bit of time. So he's still gonna ball out. I don't think he's gonna throw more than one interception, but I just think the Colts will win. That is my pick. Colts 27, Jets 24. We'll see what happens.
I mean, every part of me is saying, don't do it, AJ. Don't do it. Okay. The Colts are a better team, and you know this. But why? Why is that happening to me, Vince? I as I finish up the score, my hands are shaking. I don't want to put this down. I lost last week because I went with my heart and no, I went with my brain instead of my heart.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna go with my heart instead of my brain.
Yeah,
I got
that's valuable.
I got the Jets, guys. 27-24. I got Robert Sala leading with his captain onto the battlefield, Mike White. Mike effing White is what they're saying in the locker room. Guys, yeah. Colts are pretty good defensively, but I think they're a little overrated. I think so. Just a little overrated. And now that the Jets got a little feel, their hearts are a little more full. They're gonna go out there. They're gonna make a point. Who cares that they're playing the Colts? They're playing football. They're a professional team, and they're going to do great. Okay. And yes, I had my 7-1 record right there. I lost last week. I had my money on the Cards, and I really wanted to go for the Packers, but I got the Jets this week. Everything's telling me not to do it, but my body's telling me yes.
I love it, man. I love it. I love that we picked different teams this week because last week we were almost going to do it again. So we'll see who comes out and we'll see if I tie with you in the records for Thursday night football.
Let's see it. I just beat out Reed for Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now 6-2.
Let me check. Let me make sure on that stat, but I believe you're right. You are right. You're 6-2 on Monday Night Football and 7-1 on Thursday Night Football.
Yes, sir. That's how we do things here. All right, you guys, that's our fantasy talk. If you guys have any fantasy questions, hit us up on our Twitter. It is right down here. And guys, we are so close to our goal, guys. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers. We need 4 more left. We just did our last podcast from right now, like an hour, 2 hours ago.
2, yeah, something like that.
2.5 hours ago. Okay, we went from 93 to 96. Thank you all so much for those of y'all who subscribed. Guys, we're so close to our goal. Please help us out, and we're going to give back to the community. We appreciate y'all so very much. And until next time, you guys, we'll see you on Monday. See you in the waiver wire.